Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Figuring It Out with me, Forrest, the artist that you love to hate. Um, Figure I would rock the stunner shades this episode. Got the Versace, shout out to Biggie. But yeah, speaking of artists that you love to hate, I got some time on my hands now because my Twitter account is locked because I was going back and forth with I don't know, what do y'all call it? I'm still calling it. Mama named it Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter, even though it's X now. But I was going back and forth with this dude because he was talking shit about Sexy Red. Yeah, they had a picture of Trina and then Sexy Red next to each other, and the quote was like, "You know what's the difference?" And he called Sexy Red Dusty. I was like, hold on, this is not what we're gonna do, because she is from St. Louis, I'm from St. Louis, and yeah, I take that a little bit personal. So he's going back and forth. He's a Q dog, and I was just joking about the fact. I was like, "Hey, bro, you paid for somebody to spank you." And he was not a fan of that. And I just kept going back to the same thing. I was like, you pay for Fred, you pay for somebody to spank you and brand you, to be a part of a fake army gang. I was like, go hop around in your gold boots. So just after I was like, then I got back on. I was like, oh snap, I got locked. So, but he was like, you need to take these posts down. They violate our terms and agreements. I'm like, man, censorship. I'm always running into the censorship line out here in these social media streets. But yeah, don't talk shit about Sexy Red. Do not do that. Don't talk about anybody bad from St. Louis. Only we can do that. But let's go ahead and get right into it. This episode, I am going to talk about art shows. Yes, the whole art show game. My experience with them. The scams that I ran across. Everything's a scam, but some things are more scammy than the other. But yeah, I started my art journey back in 2020 officially. Before then, I was doing street photography in Atlanta, just mainly for myself. It was a hobby. Really didn't take it that seriously. I did take a photography class over at Kennesaw State. And then when I got to move to Houston in 2019, um, I did a little bit of it, and then the pandemic happened, so I was basically inside. And then when the world, and then that's when, of course, I decided to focus on art full time. And yeah, when I did that, the world started. I think right around 2021. I think was it 2021 or the end of 2020 is Man, I could always go back and check the video. I want to say maybe like the end of 2020, right around November. Or, I don't know. I'm not gonna rack my brain over these dates. I lost a few brain cells fighting in that war in Iraq. But yeah, I my first show ever was at Pancakes and Booze at damn, it's really fucking with me. Wherever Drake did his first concert in Houston, that place over there. It My main focus was doing selling photography prints. I submitted for Pancakes and Booze. Pancakes and Booze. So like that's it's the chitlin circuit of art shows. But if you want to get your bar rolling, if you want to get hop into the art show game, that's the best place to start because it's fairly it's inexpensive. Like there's no submission fee. All you got to pay is the first two pieces are free, and then it's $15 per piece afterwards, up to 10 pieces. So that's definitely a good price. And yeah, I remember I was so excited about it, and I was asking art friends. I was like, hey, what do I need to do to prepare for this? What size print should I sell? And one of the art homies who definitely helped with that was New Jack Art. You could find him on Instagram. I think he or New Jack Pop. Yeah, New Jack Poppy. There we go. He's got New Jack Pearson. But anyway, shout out to New Jack. and he let me know, and then I got my prints made over at Walgreens. I learned kind of the cheat codes when it came to that. Always, if you're gonna get prints from Walgreens, Google the discount codes because you can hit a lick with those. And so I got 8x10s. I forgot. Yeah, I was kind of asking him like, how many should I have? He's like, maybe five of each or something like that. I think. So I printed them off. Yeah, let me go ahead and throw out the equipment I was using too. I shoot with a Nikon D3400. Yeah, I still use it to this day. I don't feel the need to upgrade because when it comes to photography, it's literally the battle of the presets and the filters and all these fancy things that you can do in Lightroom. Yeah, and so I did some of those pictures. I think from that time, I did some street photography that I had got. I had done it. I had gone to Kansas City, shot some stuff. I think I had worked with a model too, so I was selling those as well. Um, and then when I started my art journey, I was rocking a mask. I had a I, I had a basic little hockey mask that I used, and so that was my part of my whole persona. Went down there, had my table, put out my prints. I was also selling books too. I had books that I had written, so I was selling those, and so that was cool. Got a decent response, um, and then this is going to be an ongoing theme throughout these art shows. But one, after I was getting done with them, I was going through this drop, like this more. You know what? I'll save it for a little bit later in the story. But yeah, did Pancakes and Booze that first one, and then a gentleman. Oh man, names I can't remember them all, but he he liked my stuff, and he was like, "Hey, we got this art show. It's an art market called All Access, and it was in downtown Houston." And he was like, "You would, submit. He gave me the website, and you need to submit." But he was like, "Hey, it's it's families that come through there." So that was he was like, "Hey, you might, he was like, do you got anything a little bit more family friendly?" And at the time, I was, a little bit, willing to switch things up for the market, just to get in, just to get in there. And so I was like, yeah, I got some stuff. And so after that, I ended up doing the All Access Art Market um, down there in Houston. The man, I wish I would remember the entry fee for that. I want to say it was $100, maybe $100, 150, maybe 100. I don't know, right around there. It was between 100 and $150, and so I did that. Um, and at these shows, I would try to network with other artists, but of course, I had my mask on, and I'm still a little bit of an introvert to a degree. And then I could be reclusive. So I really wasn't out there in front of the artist face and stuff like that, really, really networking. I mean, I would ask questions here and there. Mainly, I would be like, "Hey, what you use for this or that?" And I was getting, I was good getting reviews on my photography. Uh, but of course, when it comes to uh, the market and then with my photography, I had to, keep in mind that people may like your art, but they may not know what to do with it, or they may not know where it would fit into their lives, like in their homes or wherever. And that was a lesson I had to learn early on, so I wouldn't take things so personal because people, oh, I like your stuff, I like your stuff. But if you like my stuff, then why aren't you buying it? And I also learned how to learn, the game of pricing, having my price points. I tried not to have my price points too low but not too high at the same time because I still wanted to make those sales. And I some of the things I used, I made sure to have my Cash App available. I had cards. I also had the Square so I could run the transactions right there on my phone. And so All Access was something that I was doing on a somewhat consistent basis every month, but that can get pricey. and especially since I wasn't breaking even on those. I think I took a loss on every one I did, and but I was appreciative of those sales. I was also making sure I sold my books too, and it was cool meeting the folks at all the other artists, and that's how we kind of built. We ended up learning about each other, and um, and keeping up with each other. And after a while, the target was cool, and then I noticed there was a painter in particular. Her name is Wintress. I definitely need to make sure if I can remember to tag her in the show notes. Please hope I remember. This is what I need an assistant for. Um, but I was noticed because she's a painter, and then I was looking over and I was just seeing the attention that she was getting for her paintings. There were people were spending more time over at her paintings than they were like over at the looking at my pictures, and I was like, my ego was all like, I want that, and so that's how I ended up hopping to painting. I um I asked a couple of painter friends. I was like, hey, how you get started, and they told me, gave me like a whole list of supplies. I was like, oh, this is a lie. And so my brother, he was all like, hey, just use what you got. And I had a whole bunch of cardboard boxes because I was trying to make this money on the side too. So I was selling Funko Pops, and I had all these cardboard boxes. So I stopped there for a while and had these boxes. And I went to Family Dollar, got some Crayola paint, and I started painting. Painted on them. I actually I painted a lot, and then at the end of that, I had my own solo art show that I put up on YouTube where I call it did I call it boredom or bored? I think so. Yeah, it was a solo art show. I had some aesthetic music going on in the background, and I was just going around taking a video of these cardboard paintings that I made, and I uploaded them on YouTube. So that was my first solo art show. And I even had the little Funko Pops right there as the audience man, as the attendees. And yeah, and then I eventually I was actually intimidated to paint on canvas, but I just hopped right into it, and so I started painting. I loved it. I loved the freedom of it, and and then I started incorporating my photography into the paintings, and I would put a piece in the middle and paint around it, and that's then I started showing them in shows, and they were getting people were loving them, and I was doing the all access shows, and was doing all access, and then that led to another art show. It was the wife of the dude that was running art. It was a two dudes that run art all access, but one dude, his wife had a show, and I did that. I think the entry fee was $75 for that, and but it was more of she was the star of the show, and then we were the pips, everybody that was in there. But hey, you learn, just try to get in there. And then I did that. Um, And then eventually, Wintress, she got her own space, and she had her. She called it. She had her own monthly art shows slash market, and called it Art Beats and Brews, and that was hands down my favorite art experience because the entry wasn't expensive. It was like $75, and you could pretty much. She gave the artist creative freedom. I could put up anything that I wanted, and it was cool. It was good turnouts. Unfortunately, she wasn't getting the support from the community that she needed, and so she had to let that spot go. But shout out to Wintress. She's hands down one of my favorite artists, and she inspired me so much. Yeah, dope as fuck. Like I know I'm biased, but definitely I'm glad that she's somebody that we crossed paths when I needed that to happen. And let's see. So from there, and then things with there was like some brewing beef going on. I don't know how that was working out, but artists were real sensitive, and we really don't do a good job of talking about our issues with each other. And um, yeah, there was that, and then I was starting to get this weird vibe from the dude that ran All Access. No, okay, all right. Before that, let me run that back. I did a All Access, and then I think it had rained or something like that, or barely anybody showed up, and their business was kind of like, I was like, I don't know, like showing up late. Barely people were showed up, and then they were like, well, um, I forgot what happened with that one. You know what? Since I don't remember exactly what happened, I'm not gonna go into it because I don't want to, throw around, speculative stuff. But let's just say, things started getting, and maybe I could have been in my head, but I was like, things started getting a little wonky. And then I actually did the all access art show. I forgot the location in Houston, and that's where I made my biggest art sale at a show. I think I sold two or three pieces. One of those pieces was a real simple piece. All I did was take a white canvas and I wrote some of the lyrics to uh, Ye's "Life of the Party." And this white couple, actually, they want. I went to the bathroom and then I came back and they were like, "Hey, we were waiting for you. We wanted the piece," and they ended up buying it for $333. Shout out to them. I actually had another. I had a couple pieces that were inspired by the whole Ye's Donda performance at the Mercedes Benz Stadium, and then another one. I actually was a red border, and I put like a black box with my little signature simple face on there, and it was just representing Ye in the middle of this, this red. And another dude, he bought, it, he loved it. I think I sold that thing for about 200 some dollars. And I was like, oh shit. But of course, egos happen, and like I said, it was a lot of ego stuff going on, and I decided not to do all access no more. Um, Stop that, and then I actually ran into him at another show. And I kind of told him the issue. So you could have told me about it. I was like, whatever. We men, we interesting. And then you throw the artist thing on top of it. But yeah. So I was like, all right, I gotta do these shows, and I did Pancakes and Booze. I did Pancakes and Booze in Dallas, Austin. I've done them in Charlotte. No, 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 not Charlotte, but yeah. And then after these art shows, I would have this drop, like I would be depressed after them, and the whole, what am I doing? Like, people saying they love my stuff, but they're not buying it, and just a lot of in my head stuff. And what helped me get out is I got to create, just got to create, just got to create. So I did those. I also, what other show did I get connected with? The Black Boy Art Show. Yeah, I did that. Those right there should have taken a loss on every one. So maybe, yeah. The entry fee is $200. I've done them in Atlanta, Charlotte, um, and Houston. And of course, the first two, yeah, Atlanta and Charlotte, I did make sales. Houston, no sales. A lot of, hey, your stuff is dope, but that's it. Because of course, my art is very raw. I'll be showing titties in my art, and it's funny because I don't. People I used to do erotic, like really erotic shows, and I was like, I kind of like being different. But hey, that's how it is. One thing I definitely, and then I eventually, just for setups for these art shows, I try to travel very light. I'll set up maybe roughly about five canvases for like the Blackboard Art Show. No, easels. Is it easels? Yeah, yeah, five easels, and then I do the canvas print, my digital art on canvas print paper, still get that paint, that painting feel, and then I'll set it up on in float frames, and that gets a good, nice response, like it's nice setup. I like to be very simple. At Pancakes and Booze, I'll maybe have like five pieces, throw them up on frames, throw them up there, real simple. I'm not trying to lug around all that stuff. And also at these shows, I'll do things like I'll have free art that I give away. I'll have maybe some paintings on stretch canvas that I'll cut up and then I'll hand them out. Um, and and then it's funny because when I go to art shows, I'm never really impressed. I will I'll just go around, and because they're now, like, when I do this, I'm like, they're my peers, and I go around, I ask questions, I look at what they did, kind of jack some ideas. Oh, that's what I forgot. I've done Hardy and Nance down in Houston. I've done that was cool. They had a little small paintings one, and I was able to sell some there. It's funny, they had a LGBT art show, and I put some stuff in there, and it was probably way too raw for them. It's crazy because I ended up going just to see what made it in there, and I was like, oh yeah, my stuff was way too raw. I've also done a private showcase at Bama, Texas, down at in Houston. That was cool, and I don't want to forget everything before we wrap things up, but yeah, I look forward to having my own solo art show. I think that's definitely going to happen once I make this next move. I'm not really ready to talk about where I'm moving to next. We'll get there on maybe one episode down the line. But let me, in closing, things that I have learned in the art show game. It can get pricey. Uh, oh, before I forget, one last thing. And I was looking at the piece right here. I did a show at, oh man, I can't remember, but it was a black woman that was curating the show. And the first one I did was cool. And was it More Than a Woman? I think it was a More Than a Woman show. And then for the next one, I had a piece that was a BDSM piece, but it was like it was just painting, and the word on there said "baby girl," and then on there it was like "come for me." And so the curator, she hit me up. She's like, "Hey, can you switch the piece out because, um, one of the funders like not a fan of it because she says it's degrading women." And I was like, "Hold on, women are into BDSM," and I was like, "I'm not switching this out." So we had a conversation on the phone. She wasn't budging. I wasn't budging. So I went and grabbed my piece. And I was like, oh, she was tripping off the word come. And I'm like, she's like, you got kids, kids will see it or whatever. I'm like, well, you need to have conversations with the kids about, you can have age appropriate conversations about sex. Another time one of my pieces got taken down without me being told. I had to find out later. It was at Day Six Coffee Shop in Houston. And I went down there. I was like, hey, what's the deal? And I was like, well, you could have told me before you took my piece down. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll take all my art with me. I'm going to choose my art over you. Always, always, honey. Always choose your art. Because I am not about to have my art looking at me talking about, you ain't gonna fight for me? You ain't gonna fight for me, damn it. No, 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 not gonna happen. But yeah. Yeah, let me wrap this up. So, if I would say my favorite art shows would be, of course, Art Bees and Brews. Shout out to Wintress. I like Pancakes and Booze because it's inexpensive. It's a chitlin circuit, but hey, hop on that Joker, and it's a good way to get seen real quick. Um, also, have to have pep talks beforehand. Got to leave your ego at the door because you will get your feelings hurt at these art shows. Because you'll be like, hey, they're saying my stuff is dope. Just be happy to be when people are stopping and looking and have a conversation with you about your art. Uh, this stuff can be expensive. I still have not made a profit of art shows. This art is not paying my bills at all. If anything, it was paying for some weed money, some gas money. Um, I know moving forward, and even at this last Pancakes and Booze, I talked to a few artists a little bit more, made some connections, and I will be doing another Pancakes and Booze in October. And for a minute, I was all like, I don't feel like doing shows no more. Fuck this. I want my shit to be in the galleries, but for now, where I'm at, and we got to keep this show party going. So if you guys need tips, tricks to the art show game, let me know. Oh yeah, art shows. If you are listening or watching this, do more for the artist. If you do more for the artist, we will show up more for you. I know y'all, and then also educate the artist on the game. Like, hey, the fact we got to pay for these venues, the fact we got to pay our employees, the fact the why we come up with the price points for y'all for the entry fees. Um, showcasing artists a little bit more. Like if we work together, we can all come up. That's the problem, man. That's a problem I'm seeing with, especially living here in Atlanta. Like you really, it's like nobody really wants to take the time to help you unless it's gonna benefit them. So let's work together. Once again, if you got some ideas, throw them in the show in the comments. I will definitely respond. I will let you know what I know. Because as I said in the last episode, I know things you don't know, and you know things I don't know. Appreciate you. You can always check out my website. That is forrestjob.com. That's FORRESTJOB. I will be having that in the show notes. And if you're in this art show game, if you're in this art game period, don't quit. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. You never know who's going to see your stuff. You never know who's gonna change your life. It was funny. I had one buyer, one collector, and I need to do a better job of like reaching out to my collectors, after these shows. But having one collector, oh yeah, even at the shows, I like to take pictures with them with the pic with my painting and tag them on Instagram. But um, yeah, just keep going and don't quit. Do not quit, no matter what. Yeah, that's it. I'm out. Holla.